The massive chamber on Nexus Prime stretched beyond what human eyes could easily take in. Thousands of beings from across the galaxy filled the curved rows of seats that spiraled up toward the crystal dome ceiling. The air hummed with translation. Devices working overtime, turning alien languages into something every species could understand. Admiral Hyun-woo Park stood at the center platform, his dark blue Earth Defense Fleet uniform looking simple next to the exotic clothing and natural features of the alien delegates. His hand stayed steady as he held the datapad containing humanity's formal request to join the Galactic Council. He had practiced this speech for months, but standing here now made his throat feel dry. The Vorthak delegation sat in the front section, their crystal bodies catching and bending the chamber's light into rainbow patterns. Behind them, the Nethrum floated in specialized atmosphere tanks, their gas-like forms shifting between different colors as they communicated through chemical changes. The Krillian Empire representatives dominated the right side of the chamber, their cybernetic implants clicking and whirring as they processed data. "Honored members of the Galactic Council," Admiral Park began, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustic design. "Humanity comes before you today not as conquerors or supplicants, but as a species ready to take its place among the civilized worlds of this galaxy." A low rumble of what might have been laughter came from the Krillian section. War Prime Zekthorian rose from his seat, his mechanical legs extending to give him an imposing height. Half of his face was original flesh, while the other half showed the advanced cybernetic modifications that all Krillian military leaders received. "Humanity," Zekthorian said, his voice enhanced by vocal processors that made it boom across the chamber. "A species that has barely left their home system. Your ships move through space using fusion rockets that our ancestors abandoned 10,000 years ago. Your weapons fire simple projectiles while we harness the power of collapsed stars. Tell me, Admiral Park, what exactly do you offer this council besides primitive enthusiasm?" More sounds of amusement came from various sections of the chamber. Admiral Park felt heat rise in his cheeks but kept his expression neutral. He had expected this reaction. "We offer fresh perspectives," Park replied. "Human engineering approaches problems differently than established galactic methods. Our scientists have made several breakthrough discoveries in the past decade that we believe could benefit all council members." Crystal Singer Neth of the Vorthak delegation created a musical tone that the translators rendered as skeptical inquiry. Her crystal form pulsed with soft blue light as she spoke. "Your quantum fold experiments destroyed 3 of your research stations. Your attempts to replicate zero-point energy generation have produced only expensive failures." "Where exactly are these breakthroughs you mention?" "High in the observation deck." Dr. Yoonji Kim gripped the handle of her secured briefcase tighter. Inside were 3 years of work that nobody else in the chamber knew about. When human deep space scouts had found the wreckage of alien ships in dead systems, most governments had wanted to return them to their original owners as gestures of goodwill. Dr. Kim had argued successfully that studying the technology first would help humanity understand what they were dealing with. What she had found changed everything. The alien technology that seemed so advanced had a fundamental flaw that their scientists had never noticed. They had become so focused on perfecting quantum fold drives and zero-point energy that they had stopped looking for alternative approaches. Their technology was sophisticated but brittle, like a crystal sculpture that could shatter if hit in the right spot. Dr. Kim had spent months developing theoretical solutions that combined human engineering principles with alien technology in ways that no galactic civilization had ever attempted. The results looked impossible on paper, but her computer simulations suggested they would work. Down on the main floor, War Prime Zekthorian was warming to his theme. "Perhaps humanity needs more time to develop proper civilization?" "Another 1,000 years of careful guidance from established council members would help you reach acceptable technological standards." "You mean another 1,000 years of following your rules and using your approved methods?" Admiral Park said. His diplomatic training told him to stay polite, but something in the War Prime's tone triggered a deeper human response. "Forgive me, But human history suggests that following established methods is not always the path to progress. The chamber grew quieter. Several alien delegates leaned forward with interest. Arguments during council sessions were rare, since most species that made it this far had learned to be diplomatic. Zekthurian S. Mechanical eye focused on Admiral Park with visible targeting systems. Are you suggesting that your primitive methods are superior to technologies perfected over millions of years? Dr. Kim stood up in the observation deck. Her movement caught the attention of nearby delegates, and within moments the chamber's attention systems had focused on her location. Spotlight illuminated her position as speakers carried her voice to every corner of the massive space. Admiral Park speaks the truth, she said, her voice steady despite the thousands of alien eyes now watching her. Human methods are different, not primitive. We have discovered flaws in quantum fold architecture that your best scientists have missed for centuries, the chamber erupted. Alien delegates created sounds of outrage, disbelief, and in some cases what might have been curiosity. Crystal Singer Neth's form flashed through several colors, before settling on a deep red that the translators indicated as serious attention. Dr. Yoonji Kim, representing Earth's Xenotechnology Research Division, she continued as the noise died down. For the past 3 years, my team has been developing revolutionary drive systems that combine human engineering with recovered alien technology. We have created theoretical designs for ships that can outperform anything currently in Council fleets. War Prime Zekthurian's laugh was genuinely amused this time. Theoretical designs. Human imagination without the ability to build what you dream. This is exactly why your species needs guidance. Dr. Kim opened her briefcase and pulled out a data crystal. Not theoretical anymore? Earth's shipyards are currently constructing a warship based on these designs. A ship that will demonstrate capabilities that your civilizations consider impossible. The chamber fell completely silent. Even the constant background hum of translation devices seemed to pause. Crystal Singer Neth created a complex harmony that took the translators several seconds to process. You claim to be building a ship superior to Council technology? I claim that we are building it, Dr. Kim replied. Whether it is superior will be demonstrated when construction is complete. War Prime Zekthurian stood to his full imposing height. Very well. If humanity believes they can impress this council with their primitive engineering, let them try. He gestured to the assembled delegates. I propose a formal challenge. Give these humans 1 standard galactic year to complete their impossible ship. If it meets their claims, Earth gains full council membership immediately. If it fails to impress, U.S. humanity accepts permanent status as a protected species under council guidance. The terms were harsh. Protected species status meant that human expansion beyond their current system would be controlled by council oversight. Their technology development would be guided by alien advisors. Earth would become a permanent junior partner with no real independence. Admiral Park looked up at Dr. Kim in the observation deck. She nodded once, her expression confident. The Earth Defense Fleet accepts your challenge, Admiral Park said. His words carried to every corner of the chamber and would soon be transmitted to every world in the galaxy. In 1 year, humanity will demonstrate that different does not mean inferior. As the council session dissolved into heated discussions among the various species, Dr. Kim gathered her materials and prepared to return to Earth. She had just committed her entire species to a gamble based on theoretical technology and human stubbornness. She smiled as she headed for the exit. Those had always been humanity's best advantages. Luna Station floated in the dark space between Earth and its moon, but Dock 7 was hidden from normal viewing angles. The massive construction bay had been carved into an asteroid and reinforced with the strongest materials human engineers could create. Warning beacons marked the area as restricted military space, but they did not hint at what was being built inside. Captain Taemin Lee stood on the observation platform, watching hundreds of workers move across the skeletal frame of the largest ship humans had ever attempted to build. Sparks flew from welding torches as teams worked around the clock to meet their impossible deadline. The ship stretched over 2 kilometers from nose to tail, longer than 3 city blocks placed end to end. "Still hard to believe we are actually building this monster," said Chief Engineer Hana Choi as she joined the captain on the platform. Her hands were stained with grease and her hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail. She had not left the construction site for more than a few hours at a time in the past 6 months. Dr. Kim's designs looked crazy on paper, Captain Lee admitted. But watching it take shape, I'm starting to think crazy might be exactly what we need. The ship's basic structure followed human naval traditions, but the details were unlike anything in Earth's previous shipbuilding history. The hull incorporated layers of different materials, each designed to handle specific types of damage. Alien energy weapons would hit reactive armor that could absorb and redirect their power. Physical impacts would be absorbed by honeycomb structures that could compress and reform. Most remarkable was the drive system. Instead of trying to copy alien quantum fold technology perfectly, human engineers had created something new. The ship's massive engines combined human nuclear pulse propulsion with alien zero-point generators in a way that no galactic civilization had ever attempted. The result looked impossible to outside observers, but Hana's computer models suggested it would work. "How are the weapons coming along?" Captain Lee asked. Hana grinned. "Dong Hyan has outdone himself. Come see." They took a transport pod to the ship's forward section, where Lieutenant Commander Dong Hyan Yu was supervising the installation of the main gun systems. Unlike the elegant energy weapons that alien ships used, the human weapons looked brutally simple. Massive magnetic accelerators ran along the ship's spine, designed to fire tungsten rods at a significant fraction of light speed. "The aliens have spent so much time perfecting their energy shields," Dong Hyan explained as he guided them through the weapon bay. "They can deflect plasma beams, absorb laser fire, even redirect particle streams. But they have never had to deal with old-fashioned kinetic weapons moving at relativistic speeds." He patted one of the tungsten projectiles affectionately. "Each one of these weighs 2 tons and carries a miniaturized fusion charge. When it hits an enemy ship at 0.7 light speed, their fancy shields will not even slow it down." Captain Lee examined the ammunition storage systems. "How many rounds can we carry?" 800 main projectiles, plus another 2,000 smaller ones for the secondary guns, Dong Hyan replied. "We also have something special for close combat situations." He led them to a smaller bay where technicians were installing what looked like oversized shotgun shells, fletchette rounds. Each one contains 10,000 tungsten needles, perfect for dealing with fighter swarms or boarding attempts. As they toured the weapon systems, Dr. Soo-Jin Han approached from the ship's security center. Her expression was grim, which had become normal over the past few weeks. "Another infiltration attempt last night," she reported quietly. "This time it was Krillian agents trying to access the drive core specifications." Captain Lee's jaw tightened. "Did they get anything?" "Negative. My security teams caught them before they reached the classified areas, but this is the 5th attempt this month. Word is definitely getting out that we are building something significant." The infiltration attempts had been increasing as construction progressed. Alien intelligence services were clearly nervous about what humans might be creating. Dr. Han had been forced to implement security measures that rivaled those used for nuclear weapons facilities back on Earth. "Any idea how they keep finding us?" Hana asked. "Working on it," Dr. Han replied. "But I suspect we have bigger problems than individual spies. My contacts in Earth intelligence suggest that several council species are sharing information about this. They are treating this project as a potential threat to galactic stability." Captain Lee looked out at the massive ship taking shape in the construction bay. "Maybe they are right to be worried." The ship's central core was the most revolutionary part of the entire design. Traditional alien vessels used quantum fold drives that created temporary tiers in space-time, allowing ships to jump instantly between distant points. The technology was elegant and efficient, but it had limitations that their users had never questioned. Human engineers had taken a different approach. Instead of trying to fold space, they had created a hybrid system that combined multiple drive technologies. The ship could achieve incredible acceleration using fusion-powered engines, while alien zero-point generators provided the energy needed to maintain structural integrity during impossible maneuvers. The gravity manipulation fields are the key, Hana explained as they entered the drive core chamber. Alien ships can move fast in straight lines, but they cannot change direction quickly without tearing themselves apart. Our ship will be able to accelerate, decelerate, and turn at speeds that should be impossible for something this size. The drive core itself looked like a small star contained within layers of protective shielding. Streams of energy flowed between human fusion reactors and alien zero-point generators, creating patterns that hurt to look at directly. "Is it safe?" Captain Lee asked. "Safer than traditional quantum fold drives," Hana assured him. "Those create tiny black holes every time they operate. Our system just bends the rules of physics a little." As they watched, technicians finished installing the final components of the navigation system. The ship would be able to plot courses that no alien vessel could follow, taking advantage of gravitational fields and spatial anomalies that quantum fold drives had to avoid. "What about life support?" Captain Lee asked. "Redundant systems throughout the ship," Hana replied. "We learned from studying alien designs that their life support is surprisingly fragile. A few hits in the right spots and their crews start suffocating. Our system can lose 70% of its components and still keep everyone alive." They spent the rest of the day touring different sections of the ship. The medical bay incorporated human surgical techniques with alien healing technology. The communication center could maintain contact across galactic distances using quantum entanglement principles that human physicists had only recently understood. Most impressive was the ship's computer system. Instead of relying on artificial intelligence like alien vessels, human engineers had created a hybrid system that combined computer processing with human intuition. Key decisions would always require human input, but the computer could handle thousands of minor calculations simultaneously. As evening approached, Captain Lee stood once again on the observation platform. The ship was beginning to look complete. Work crews were installing the final hull plates, and the massive engines were being prepared for their first test firing. "She needs a name," Hana said as she joined him. Captain Lee had been thinking about this for weeks. The ship represented everything that made humans different from the galactic civilizations that had dismissed them. It was built with stubborn determination, innovative thinking, and a refusal to accept that something was impossible. "Indomitable," he said finally. "HS Indomitable," Hana smiled. "Perfect. Too human to give up, too angry to back down, too stubborn to die." As they watched, the first test of the ship's systems began. Lights came alive along the hull as power flowed through the massive vessel. The drive core hummed with contained energy, and the weapon systems ran through diagnostic checks. In 6 months, this ship would face the judgment of the Galactic Council. Captain Lee hoped it would be enough to prove that humanity deserved its place among the stars. If not, it might be the last ship humans would ever build as a free species. The HS Indomitable moved through space like a predator hunting in the dark. Captain Taemin Lee sat in the command chair, watching the star patterns shift on the main screen as his ship traveled toward the Council demonstration zone. 3 months of testing had proven that Dr. Kim's impossible designs actually worked. The ship could accelerate faster, turn sharper, and hit harder than anything the galaxy had ever seen. "Captain," called Communications Officer Jiwoo Park from her station, "we are receiving a distress signal on emergency frequencies." Captain Lee turned toward her. "Put it through." The speakers crackled with static before a desperate human voice came through. "This is Captain Minho, Song of the colony ship New Bizan. We are under attack by unknown vessels in the Kepler system. Our shields are failing and we have lost 2 escort ships. Request immediate assistance from any Earth Defense Fleet vessels in the area." Lieutenant Commander Dong Hai and Yu looked up from the weapons console. Kepler system is 40 light-years off our planned route to the demonstration zone. If we respond, we will be late for the council meeting. Captain Lee studied the navigation display. Their orders were clear: proceed directly to the demonstration zone and prepare to show off human technology to the assembled alien fleets. Arriving late would make a bad impression on the council representatives, who were already skeptical about human capabilities, but the new Bizan carried 15,000 human colonists, including families with children. They had been traveling for 2 years to establish humanity's first settlement beyond the solar system. Change course for the Kepler system, Captain Lee ordered. Maximum speed. The ship's hybrid drive system engaged with a deep thrum that vibrated through the hull. Stars began to stretch into lines as the Indomitable accelerated beyond what should have been possible for a vessel of its size. The gravity manipulation fields kept the crew from being crushed by forces that would have liquefied anyone aboard. A traditional ship? ETA to Kepler system, 47 minutes, reported navigator So Young Kim Dot as they traveled. More details came through on the emergency channels. The attacking vessels were Nethrum void swimmers, living ships that could phase in and out of normal space. Phase Admiral Gethmer had been raiding human settlements for months, always disappearing before Earth Defense Fleet ships could respond. 12 enemy vessels confirmed, Dong Hyen reported as sensor data updated. Standard Nethrum configuration. They use phase shift technology to avoid targeting systems. Captain Lee had studied reports about void swimmers during his military training. The Nethrum grew their ships rather than building them, creating vessels that were part machine and part living organism. Their ability to shift between dimensions made them nearly impossible to hit with conventional weapons. Weapons status? He asked. All systems ready, Dong Hyen replied with a grim smile. The tungsten penetrator rounds should work regardless of their phase shifting. Kinetic energy does not care what dimension they are hiding in. The Indomitable dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Kepler system. The main screen immediately showed the battle in progress. The new Bizan hung in space like a wounded whale, her hull scorched and atmosphere leaking from multiple breaches. The smaller escort ships were already drifting wrecks around the colony ship. 12 alien vessels danced through space in patterns that hurt human eyes to follow. The void swimmers looked like massive jellyfish made of metal and living tissue, their translucent forms shifting between solid matter and ghostly energy. They are phase shifting every few seconds, reported sensor operator Hai-Jin Cho. Our targeting computers cannot lock onto them. Phase Admiral Gethmer's voice came over the communication channels, translated by the ship's computer from Nethrum chemical signals into human speech. Another human vessel arrives to feed our hunger. Your metal shells cannot touch us, solid matter. Creatures, we exist between your reality and the void. Captain Lee stood from his command chair. Open a channel to all frequencies. Channel open, sir. This is Captain Taemin Lee of the human warship Indomitable. You have attacked our people without provocation. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. Gethmer's response was what might have passed for laughter among his species. Your threats amuse us, solid matter, Captain. Watch as we consume your colony ship and add their life essence to our own. The void swimmers began to converge on the new Bizan from multiple directions, their forms shifting in and out of normal space to avoid the colony ship's defensive fire. Deploy gravity anchor mines, Captain Lee ordered. Full spread around the enemy formation. Dong Hyen's hands moved across his console. Gravity anchors away. Dozens of small devices launched from the Indomitable's weapon bays, each one no larger than a basketball. They scattered throughout the battle area, creating an invisible web of gravitational distortion fields. What are those supposed to do? Asked Ji-woo. Something Dr. Kim's team discovered during their research, Captain Lee explained. Phase shifting requires precise control over dimensional boundaries. Gravity anchors create random fluctuations in spacetime that make phase shifting impossible to control. The effect was immediate. As the void swimmers tried to phase out of Normal space to avoid incoming fire, they found themselves trapped halfway between dimensions. Their translucent forms flickered and solidified, leaving them vulnerable for the first time in the battle. "All weapons, open fire," Captain Lee commanded. The Indomitable's main guns spoke with the voice of accelerated metal. Tungsten rods weighing 2 tons each streaked across space at 70% of light speed, hitting the trapped void swimmers with the force of nuclear explosions. The alien ships, designed to avoid damage by phasing away from attacks, had no defense against kinetic weapons that could punch through their hulls like paper. 3 void swimmers died in the first salvo. Their organic hulls ruptured, spilling atmosphere and biofluids into space as their crews suffocated. Phase Admiral Gethmer's chemical signals became more frantic as he realized his ships were trapped. "Impossible! Your primitive weapons cannot harm us." "Apparently they can," Captain Lee replied calmly. "Surrender now, and we will allow your surviving ships to withdraw." Instead of surrendering, Gethmer ordered his remaining ships to attack. The Indomitable directly. The void swimmers that could still maneuver turned toward the human warship, their bioenergy weapons charging for maximum power shots. "Incoming fire," Hyjin reported. "Multiple energy signatures. Evasive maneuvers." Captain Lee ordered. The Indomitable twisted through space in ways that should have torn the ship apart. The hybrid drive system allowed impossible acceleration. Changes while the gravity manipulation fields kept the hull intact. Alien energy beams that should have been unavoidable passed harmlessly through empty space where the human ship had been moments before. "Return fire, all batteries," Captain Lee commanded. This time the Indomitable used its secondary weapons. Fletchette rounds exploded among the void swimmer formation, filling space with clouds of tungsten needles moving at relativistic speeds. The tiny projectiles shredded the aliens' organic hulls, causing massive system failures. 5 more void swimmers were destroyed or disabled in seconds. Phase Admiral Gethmer, seeing his fleet being systematically annihilated, made a desperate decision. His flagship began accelerating directly toward the new Bizan, intending to ram the colony ship in a suicide attack. "He is making a run at the civilians," Dong Hyan reported. Captain Lee did not hesitate. "Intercept course. Full power. To forward shields." The Indomitable placed itself between the attacking void swimmer and the defenseless colony ship. Gethmer's flagship, moving at maximum acceleration, struck the human warship head-on with enough force to destroy a small moon. The collision lit up space with released energy. The void swimmer's organic hull crumpled against the Indomitable's reactive armor, which absorbed the impact and converted the kinetic energy into power for the ship's own systems. When the explosion cleared, the alien flagship was a drifting wreck, while the Indomitable hung in space with her hull scarred but intact. "Damage report," Captain Lee called out, pulling himself back into his command chair. "Forward shields at 30%. Hull breaches on decks 7 through 9. But all critical systems operational," reported Chief Engineer Hana from the Damage Control Center. The remaining void swimmers, seeing their admiral destroyed and their fleet scattered, began retreating toward the edge of the system. Captain Lee let them go. His mission was to protect human civilians, not hunt down fleeing enemies. "Captain Song, this is Captain Lee," he said over the communication channel to the new Bizan. "Are your people safe?" "Safe thanks to you," came the relieved response. "We have casualties but no critical damage to life support." "Captain Lee, what kind of ship are you flying? I've never seen anything move like that." Captain Lee looked around his bridge at the crew who had just proven that human engineering could match anything the galaxy had to offer. "Just a ship that should not exist," he replied. "But we built it anyway." News of the Kepler engagement spread across the galaxy faster than the fastest ships could travel. On every civilized world, alien leaders watched recorded footage of human weapons tearing through Nethrim void swimmers that had been considered untouchable for centuries. The impossible had happened, and the implications terrified them. In the crystal spires of the Vorthak homeworld, Crystal Singer Neth resonated with frequencies of deep concern as she reviewed the battle reports. Her advisors had analyzed every second of the engagement, trying to understand how primitive human technology could defeat advanced Nethrim phase shifting. The gravity anchor devices are crude but effective, reported her chief military analyst, Crystal Singer-Vorth. They disrupt dimensional boundaries through brute force rather than elegant manipulation. It is like using a hammer when we would use a precision tool. But it works, Neth observed, her crystalline form pulsing with worried colors. That is what matters in warfare. On the other side of the galaxy, War Prime Zekthurian stood in the command center of the Krillian military headquarters. His cybernetic implants processed incoming data streams as his organic brain struggled to accept what the information told him. Kinetic weapons, he said to his assembled generals. They are using kinetic weapons at relativistic speeds. Our shields are designed to deflect energy attacks, not solid projectiles moving at 70% of light speed. General Kethfer, his second-in-command, displayed tactical projections on the holographic table. Our war simulations suggest that a single human ship of this type could engage an entire squadron of our vessels and achieve victory through superior maneuverability and unexpected weapon systems. War Prime Zekthurian S mechanical eye focused on the projection of the human ship. The design was ugly by Krillian standards, lacking the elegant curves and artistic details that marked advanced civilization. But ugly did not mean ineffective. Begin immediate preparations for fleet mobilization, he ordered. If humanity possesses one ship with these capabilities, they may possess more. We cannot allow this technology to spread beyond their species. Meanwhile, on Earth, Fleet Admiral Jae-Sung Ko sat in an emergency session of the Global Defense Council. The circular chamber beneath the Pacific Ocean housed representatives from every nation on Earth, all of them now focused on humanity's suddenly precarious position in galactic politics. The aliens are scared, reported Intelligence Director Min-Soo Kang as he presented his analysis. Our deep space monitoring stations are detecting massive military movements in Krillian and Vorthak space. They are mobilizing fleets that have not been active for decades. Councillor Mi Young-song from the European Federation leaned forward in her seat. Perhaps we should consider sharing our technological innovations with the Council species. Cooperation rather than confrontation might serve humanity's interests better. Admiral KO's expression hardened. Councillor Song, with respect you are suggesting that we hand over the only advantage we have ever possessed against civilizations that have controlled the galaxy for millions of years. The moment we give them our secrets, what incentive do they have to treat us as equals? But surely peaceful cooperation is better than an arms race, Song insisted. We could establish technology sharing agreements, joint research programs. They had 47 chances to offer us peaceful cooperation, Ko replied. Instead, they laughed at us and offered us the choice between submission and a demonstration of our worthlessness. Now that we have shown we are not worthless, they want to destroy us before we become a threat to their established order. Dr. Yoonji Kim spoke from her position at the Technical Advisory Panel. Admiral Ko is correct. My analysis of captured alien technology reveals that the major galactic civilizations have been stagnant for centuries. They perfect existing methods but rarely develop truly new approaches. Innovation has been systematically discouraged. She activated a holographic display showing the structure of galactic civilization. The Galactic Council maintains control through something called the Department of Technological Standardization. Any species that develops technology too far beyond approved parameters is classified as a potential threat and subjected to economic sanctions or military intervention. The chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. Humanity's rapid technological development had not just impressed the aliens, it had marked them as a danger to the established galactic order. Who runs this Department of Technological Standardization? Asked Admiral Ko. That information is classified at levels we have not been able to access, Dr. Kim admitted. But our intelligence suggests it is controlled by an entity called Prime. Curator Velanash. Very little is known about this individual or what species they represent. Across the chamber, Counselor Park Seung-ho from the Asian Coalition raised his hand. What about our demonstration for the Council? Are we still proceeding with that plan? The Indomitable is already en route to the demonstration zone, Admiral Ko confirmed. Captain Lee's orders remain unchanged. We will show the galaxy what human engineering can accomplish. Even though we now know it is likely a trap? Song asked. Especially because we know it is likely a trap, Ko replied. If we back down now, we confirm their assessment that humans are too weak to deserve independence. If we proceed, we at least maintain the option of fighting for our freedom. In the Deep Space Monitoring Station hidden in the asteroid belt, Dr. Sang-woo Park reviewed the latest intelligence reports with growing concern. His team had been tracking alien fleet movements for weeks, and the patterns were becoming clear. They are not just mobilizing individual fleets, he explained to his staff during the morning briefing. This is coordinated across multiple species. The Krillians are moving their third battle fleet toward Council space. The Vorthak have activated their Crystal Guard formations for the first time in 2 centuries. Even the Nethrim are gathering their Void Swimmer packs despite their recent losses. His deputy, Dr. Young-Soo Lee, highlighted specific regions on the galactic map. Most concerning is this buildup in the Arcturus system. That is where the Council demonstration is supposed to take place. Intelligence estimates suggest they have assembled over 3,000 ships in that region. 3,000 ships for a peaceful demonstration? Dr. Park shook his head. They are planning something significantly more hostile than a technology showcase. The implications were clear to everyone in the room. Humanity had one ship heading into what appeared to be the largest alien fleet concentration in recorded galactic history. Even the Indomitable's advanced capabilities would be meaningless against odds of 3,000 to 1. Can we warn Captain Lee? Asked Dr. Lee. Communication protocols require that all messages to ships approaching Council space be transmitted through official diplomatic channels, Dr. Park replied. Any warning we send will be intercepted by alien intelligence services before it reaches our ship. Back in space, the HS Indomitable continued its journey toward the demonstration zone. Captain Taemin Lee stood in his ready room, reviewing the technical specifications that Dr. Kim's team had provided. The ship's capabilities were impressive, but he was a military officer with enough experience to recognize a potential trap. His door chimed, and Chief Engineer Hana Choi entered with her latest status reports. All repairs from the Kepler engagement are complete, she reported. The reactive armor performed better than expected. The collision with the Nethrim flagship actually improved our forward shield efficiency by 12%. How is crew morale? Lee asked. High. The successful rescue operation has given everyone confidence in the ship's capabilities. They believe we can handle whatever the Council throws at us. Captain Lee wished he shared their optimism. His tactical training told him that the aliens would not have issued their challenge unless they believed they could control the outcome. The question was whether human innovation could overcome whatever trap was waiting for them. Hana, I want you to review all of our ship systems one more time, he said. If we are walking into an ambush, I want every advantage we can get. As the Indomitable continued toward its date with galactic destiny, the stage was being set for a confrontation that would determine whether humanity would take its place among the stars as a free species, or be crushed as an example to any other civilization that dared to challenge the established order. The Arcturus system had been empty for 1,000 years, its planet stripped of resources and abandoned by civilizations that had moved on to richer worlds. Now it hosted the largest gathering of alien warships in galactic history. Ships from dozens of species filled the space around the system's dying star, their combined fleet stretching across millions of kilometers. Captain Taemin Lee stood on the bridge of the HSS, indomitable as his ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel. At the edge of the system, the main display showed what appeared to be an endless field of alien vessels, their exotic designs creating a museum of galactic military technology. Sensor count? He asked quietly. 3,247 ships confirmed. reported sensor operator Haijin Cho, her voice tight with controlled fear. Multiple species represented. This is not a demonstration fleet, Captain. This is an invasion force. Through the communication channels came a familiar voice. Admiral Kyung-ho Nam of the HSS Defiance was broadcasting on secure human frequencies. Captain Lee, this is Admiral Nam. The Earth Defense Fleet has arrived to support your demonstration. On the tactical display, 12 more human ships appeared at various points around the system's edge. The entire deep space fleet of Earth had come to witness what was supposed to be a peaceful technology demonstration. 12 ships against over 3,000. Admiral, Captain Lee responded, recommend immediate withdrawal. These are not demonstration conditions. Negative, Captain. We came here to show the galaxy what humanity can accomplish. We will not be intimidated by superior numbers. As the human ships moved toward the designated demonstration area in the inner system, alien vessels began repositioning themselves. What had appeared to be a random gathering quickly revealed itself as a carefully planned formation. The human ships were being surrounded. A new voice came over the general communication channels, speaking in perfectly translated Standard Galactic. I am Prime Curator Velanash of the Department of Technological Standardization. The demonstration may now begin. Captain Lee had expected to see another alien species, but the figure who appeared on his main screen was something else entirely. Velanash looked ancient beyond measure, with features that seemed to combine aspects of every major galactic civilization. Crystalline elements suggested Vorthak heritage, while mechanical implants resembled Krillian technology. But there was something else, something that human eyes found difficult to process. Humanity has requested membership in the Galactic Council. Velanash continued, based on claims of technological superiority. We have gathered here to evaluate these claims and determine humanity's proper place in our civilization. Admiral Nam's voice came over the fleet communication channel. All ships maintain formation. Prepare for demonstration sequence. But Captain Lee was studying the alien fleet positioning with growing alarm. This was not the arrangement for a peaceful technology showcase. The alien ships had formed multiple concentric circles around the human vessels, with their weapons trained inward. It was a classic encirclement formation designed for total annihilation of enemy forces. Captain, whispered Lieutenant Commander Dong Haiyan Yu from the weapons station, I am detecting massive energy buildups across the alien fleet. They are charging their weapons systems. Before Captain Lee could respond, Prime Curator Velanash's image flickered and changed. The mask of diplomatic politeness fell away, revealing something cold and calculating. The demonstration is concluded, Velanash announced. Humanity's technology has been evaluated and found to be disruptive to galactic stability. The Department of Technological Standardization hereby classifies your species as a Category 5. Threat to established civilization? Immediate containment protocols are now in effect. The meaning was clear to everyone listening. This had never been about membership or demonstrations. It was an execution. All human vessels, Admiral Nam broadcast on emergency frequencies, you are authorized to defend yourselves with any means necessary. Earth Defense Fleet, Attack Pattern Delta. Show them what human engineering can do. Captain Lee felt a familiar calm settle over him as the diplomatic pretense ended and the situation became purely military. All stations, battle alert. Weapons. Free, all targets. Commander Bo-Ra Shin at the tactical station had been analyzing the alien formation during the conversation. Captain, I have identified a critical weakness in their deployment. The quantum fold drives on ships this close together create interference patterns. If we can disrupt the field harmonics, their entire fleet will be trapped in normal space. Explain, Captain Lee ordered. Dr. Kim's team installed an experimental gravity pulse generator in our drive core. The BORA replied quickly as alien ships began moving to attack positions. It was designed for asteroid mining, but the theoretical output should destabilize quantum fold fields across a wide area. Captain Lee looked at the impossible odds surrounding his small fleet. Conventional tactics would result in the complete destruction of every human ship within minutes. But conventional tactics had never been humanity's strength. "Do it," he ordered Dot in the engineering section. Dr. Sang-Woo Park worked frantically at the gravity pulse controls. The system had never been tested at the power levels needed to affect an entire star system, but human desperation often produced miracles that careful planning could not. "Gravity pulse charging," he reported over the communication system. "All ships should prepare for massive spatial distortions." The effect was immediate and devastating to the alien fleet. Across the Arcturus system, 3,000 alien ships suddenly found their most advanced technology useless. Quantum fold drives failed as spacetime became too unstable to manipulate safely. Ships that had relied on their ability to jump away from danger were suddenly trapped with slower-than-light engines and weapons designed for brief engagements. "Now we fight them on our terms," Admiral Nam announced. "All ships, maximum acceleration, kinetic weapons free." The human fleet, designed from the beginning to operate in normal space, suddenly had every advantage. The Indomitable led the charge, its hybrid drive system allowing maneuvers that the trapped alien ships could not match. Tungsten penetrator rounds began tearing through enemy formations as human vessels danced between the larger alien ships. War Prime Zekthurian S flagship, caught in the middle of the alien formation, fired desperately at the approaching human ships. His energy weapons, designed to overwhelm quantum shields, proved ineffective against human reactive armor that absorbed and redirected the incoming power. "Impossible," he transmitted on all frequencies. "Your primitive technology cannot overcome millions of years of advancement." Captain Lee's response was broadcast across the entire system. "You spent millions of years perfecting the same old methods. We spent 3 years thinking of new ones." The battle became a demonstration of human tactical flexibility against alien technological stagnation. Ships that had dominated the galaxy for centuries found themselves outmaneuvered by vessels that should have been inferior in every way. Crystal Singer Neth's vessel attempted to ram the HSS Defiance in desperation, but Admiral Nam's ship twisted away at the last second and fired a spread of flechette rounds that shredded the Vorthic ship's crystalline hull. As the engagement continued, it became clear that the aliens' greatest advantage had become their greatest weakness. Their dependence on quantum fold technology left them helpless when that technology failed. Human ships, built to fight in normal space, dominated the battlefield. Prime Curator Velanash, watching the systematic destruction of the galactic fleet, finally revealed the truth that had been hidden for millennia. "You do not understand," he transmitted to the human ships. "We have maintained galactic peace for eons by preventing exactly this situation. Innovation leads to chaos. Progress leads to war. We suppress advancement to preserve stability." Captain Lee's reply would be remembered in human history books for centuries. "Then you have forgotten that sometimes chaos is better than the peace of the grave, and sometimes war is the price of freedom." The wreckage of 3,000 alien ships drifted through the Arcturus system like a graveyard of dead dreams. In the space of 4 hours, humanity had shattered the military power that had controlled the galaxy for millions of years. The impossible had become inevitable through superior tactics, innovative technology, and human refusal to accept defeat. Admiral Insu Lim stood in the command center of the captured Council flagship, watching reports stream in from across known space. The victory at Arcturus had triggered the collapse of galactic civilization faster than anyone could have predicted. Without their technological superiority and military dominance, the various Council species were discovering that their subjects had little loyalty to offer. "Status report from the occupied territories?" Admiral Lim asked his intelligence officer. "Complete governmental collapse on 47 Council worlds," reported Commander Haewon Park. "The Krillian Empire has lost contact with over half of their subject colonies. Vorthic crystal hierarchies are requesting immediate peace negotiations. The Nethrim Void Swimmer fleets have gone into hiding in the Outer Rim systems." Through the flagship's massive viewing ports, Admiral Lim could see human ships moving between the alien wrecks, rescuing survivors and securing valuable technology. The rules of engagement had been clear: accept surrender, provide medical aid, and treat prisoners according to human military standards. It was a concept that many alien species found difficult to understand. Dr. Yoon-ji Kim materialized on the communication screen from her research vessel. Admiral, my teams have been analyzing the captured Council archives. What we have found changes everything we thought we knew about galactic history. Show me, Admiral Lim replied, the holographic display activated, showing a timeline that stretched back millions of years. The Department of Technological Standardization has been operating for over 2 million years, Dr. Kim explained. Every time a species developed innovative technology, they were either absorbed into the Council system or destroyed completely. The display showed dozens of civilizations that had been erased from galactic history. Species that had developed faster-than-light communication, advanced artificial intelligence, or breakthrough weapon systems had all suffered the same fate. The Council maintained power by ensuring that no one could challenge their technological monopoly, Dr. Kim continued. Innovation was treated as a disease that needed to be contained before it could spread. Admiral Lim studied the data with growing anger. How many species did they destroy? At least 300 that we can identify from the archives. Probably thousands more whose records were completely erased. Dr. Kim's expression was grim. Humanity survived their attention only because we developed too quickly for them to respond in time. If we had taken another 50 years to reach this point, we would have been eliminated like all the others. On the former Council homeworld of Nexus Prime, Captain Hyjin Cho of the HSS, Retribution was discovering the extent of the Council's crimes against galactic civilization. Her liberation fleets had arrived to find vast prison complexes where entire species had been held as slaves for generations. The Solmach were confined to labor camps for 8 centuries, she reported to Admiral Lim during the daily briefing. Their crime was developing biotechnology that could extend lifespans beyond what the Council considered acceptable. The Threx Collective had their entire hive mind network suppressed because their rapid information sharing was deemed a threat to social stability. As human ships spread across former Council territory, they encountered dozens of species that had been living under systematic oppression. The reptilian Solmach had maintained their scientific knowledge in secret, passing research through hidden channels for generations. The insectoid Threx had preserved their collective intelligence despite Council attempts to fragment their society. They welcome us as liberators, Captain Cho continued. But Admiral, some of these species have technological capabilities that rival our own. The Solmach have developed medical treatments that could revolutionize human healthcare. The Threx collective intelligence networks could advance our computer systems by decades. Admiral Lim nodded thoughtfully. Arrange technology sharing conferences. If the Council suppressed innovation for millions of years, we need to help these species rebuild what was taken from them. However, not all humans were comfortable with their new role as galactic conquerors. Dr. Young Min Kang, a xenobiologist who had joined the liberation fleets, sent a concerning report from the Outer Rim territories. I am observing disturbing patterns in human behavior, he wrote in his official communication to Earth Command. Some of our military units are beginning to view themselves as superior to the alien species they have liberated. There are incidents of human officers making decisions for entire civilizations without consulting local leadership. The report included video evidence of human commanders taking control of alien governments, supposedly for efficiency purposes. While their intentions appeared benevolent, the pattern was uncomfortably similar to how the Council had originally gained control over their subject species. On Earth, Fleet Admiral Jae-sung Ko read Dr. Kang's report with deep concern. He had feared this development from the moment human ships began occupying Council territory. Military victory was easier to achieve than moral leadership. We are at a crossroads, he told the emergency session of the Global Defense Council. We can become the next galactic empire, ruling through superior force, or we can try to build something better. Counselor Mi Young-song, who had previously advocated for peaceful cooperation, now faced the reality of human dominance. What do you propose, Admiral? We cannot simply abandon these liberated worlds to chaos. We establish a transition authority, Admiral Ko suggested. Human oversight for essential services while we help these species rebuild their own governments. Our goal should be to work ourselves out of a job, not to create a permanent empire. The debate continued for hours, but it was interrupted by urgent communications from the Outer Rim. Long-range scouts had detected massive fleet movements in previously unexplored regions of the galaxy. Captain Min Ho-song of the reconnaissance ship HSS Explorer transmitted his findings directly to Earth Command. We have identified at least 40 previously unknown civilizations in the Outer Rim territories. They appear to be forming some kind of alliance. Admiral, they have been watching our expansion across Council space and they are mobilizing to stop us. The tactical displays showed the scope of the threat. While humanity had been focused on liberating Council territories, the galaxy's Outer Rim civilizations had been preparing for war. These species had avoided Council attention by remaining isolated, but human expansion had forced them to reveal themselves. Fleet composition analysis suggests they have incorporated captured human technology into their own ship designs. Captain Song continued. We are looking at hybrid vessels that combine their native innovations with our kinetic weapons and gravity manipulation systems. Admiral Ko realized that humanity's greatest victory might have sown the seeds of their greatest challenge. By demonstrating that the Council could be defeated, they had inspired every remaining civilization to unite against the new threat that humans represented. How long before they are ready to attack? He asked. Intelligence estimates suggest they will be prepared for large-scale operations within 6 months, Captain Song replied. Admiral, we are looking at a coalition that includes some very advanced species. Their combined technological base may exceed our own capabilities. Admiral Ko looked around the chamber at the assembled representatives of humanity. 6 months ago, they had been a single species struggling for recognition. Now they controlled a significant portion of the galaxy and faced enemies who had learned from the Council's mistakes. Then we have 6 months to decide what kind of civilization we want to be, he said quietly. And 6 months to prepare for the war that will determine whether humanity survives its own success. As reports continued to arrive from across human-controlled space, it became clear that the victory at Arcturus had been just the beginning of humanity's greatest challenge. They had proven they could defeat established galactic powers, but now they would face enemies who understood human capabilities and had time to prepare countermeasures. The galaxy was about to test whether human innovation could overcome human hubris and whether the species that had refused to accept limitations could learn to accept responsibility. The Rigel Gateway had been neutral space for 10,000 years, a region where no single species claimed territory. Now it hosted the largest military confrontation in galactic history as two fundamentally different approaches to civilization. Prepared to determine the future of intelligent life among the stars, Admiral Hyun-woo Park, promoted to Supreme Commander of Human Space Forces after the Council's defeat, stood on the bridge of the HSS Inevitable. The new flagship represented the evolution of human warship design, incorporating lessons learned from 6 months of analyzing captured alien technology. Around him, the largest human fleet ever assembled waited for the battle that would decide whether humanity would survive its own success. Fleet status report, Admiral Park requested. 237 human vessels ready for combat, reported Fleet Coordinator So-Young Kim. We also have 46 allied ships from liberated species. The Solmach have contributed 12 bioships with regenerative hulls. The Threx Collective sent 15 vessels with distributed processing networks that can coordinate fleet movements faster than any command system we have ever seen. Through the main display, Admiral Park could see the opposing force that stretched across the Gateway region. The Galactic Frontier Alliance had assembled over 800 ships representing species that humanity had never encountered before. Their vessels showed design principles that combined familiar alien technology with innovations that human engineers found both impressive and troubling. Analysis of enemy capabilities? Admiral Park asked. They have been studying our tactics for months, replied Intelligence Officer Dongmin Lee. Their ships use gravitational mines similar to our own designs, combined with kinetic weapons that appear to be based on our tungsten penetrator technology. They have also developed quantum torpedo systems that can destroy entire planets. The implications were clear. While humanity had been liberating Council territories and learning to govern a galactic empire, their future enemies had been preparing countermeasures for every advantage that had won the war against the Council. Data communication request came through on diplomatic frequencies. The main screen activated to show Frontier Admiral Kethver the Destroyer, a being whose species humanity had never encountered. He appeared to be reptilian, but with crystalline growths that suggested artificial enhancement rather than natural evolution. Human Admiral Park, Kethver said, his voice translated through advanced linguistic processors. I am Frontier Admiral Kethver, speaking for the 43 species of the Galactic Frontier Alliance. We have come to contain the threat that your expansion represents to galactic stability. Admiral Park had spent weeks preparing for this conversation. Admiral Kethver, humanity has no desire for conquest beyond liberating species that were oppressed by the Council. We are willing to negotiate boundaries and establish peaceful coexistence. Kethver's expression showed what might have been amusement. You offer negotiation from a position of assumed superiority. Your species has demonstrated that you view innovation as a right rather than a responsibility. Left unchecked, human. Technological development will destabilize the balance that has maintained peace in the galaxy for eons. The Council's peace was built on suppressing progress and enslaving entire civilizations, Admiral Park replied. If that is the balance you want to preserve, then we have nothing to discuss. Then you have chosen the path of conflict, Kethver announced. The Alliance has developed measures specifically designed to counter your technological advantages. Today you will learn that human innovation is not unlimited. The communication ended and both fleets began moving toward combat positions. But Admiral Park had noticed something in the enemy formation that his tactical officers had missed. The Frontier Alliance ships were using gravitational mines to negate human speed advantages, but they had positioned them in a pattern that created interference with their own quantum dampener systems. Commander Soo-Young Kim, he called to his chief engineer. Can you analyze the enemy gravitational field patterns? Chief Engineer Kim had been studying the Alliance fleet through long-range sensors. Admiral, they have made a critical error. Their anti-human countermeasures are interfering with each other. If we can overload their gravitational mine network, their quantum dampeners will fail simultaneously. Meaning? Meaning their ships will be as trapped as ours, but they are not. Designed for close-quarters combat in normal space. Admiral Park smiled grimly. Once again, human success would depend on recognizing that the enemy's greatest strength could become their greatest weakness. All ships prepare for Operation Breakthrough, he announced to the human fleet. Target the gravitational mine network. Full power to kinetic weapons. The battle began with both sides firing at maximum range. Alliance quantum torpedoes streaked toward human formations while tungsten penetrator rounds responded in kind. The initial exchange proved that both sides had learned from previous conflicts. Alliance shields handled human kinetic weapons better than Council technology had, while human reactive armor absorbed quantum torpedo impacts more effectively than expected. But the real turning point came when Commodore Taemin Lee, commanding the HSS Indomitable, executed a desperate maneuver that military historians would study for centuries. When his ship took critical damage from concentrated Alliance fire, Chief Engineer Hana Choi made a decision that changed the course of the battle. Captain, we are losing atmosphere on 12 decks, she reported as emergency lights flashed. Throughout the ship, weapons are at 30% power and our drive core is unstable. Commodore Lee had two choices: withdraw from combat and try to save his ship, or sacrifice the Indomitable to create an opening for the rest of the fleet. His decision took less than a second. All power to weapons, he ordered. Target the central gravitational mine cluster. If we are going down, we are taking their countermeasures with us. The Indomitable systems failing and hull breached in. Dozens of places accelerated directly toward the center of the Alliance formation. Alliance ships concentrated their fire on the approaching human vessel, but Commodore Lee's crew kept their weapons operational through sheer determination and creative engineering. When the Indomitable's final salvo struck the gravitational mine network, the resulting cascade failure disabled the Alliance's most important defensive systems. Suddenly, 800 enemy ships found themselves trapped in normal space with weapons and defenses designed for quantum-assisted combat. The rest of the human fleet, seeing their flagship sacrifice, abandoned all defensive protocols and launched a coordinated assault that broke through Alliance lines like a sword through paper. Human ships, built from the beginning to fight in normal space, dominated the battlefield once their enemies lost their technological advantages. Admiral Kethver, watching his carefully planned countermeasures collapse, made one final desperate attempt to achieve victory. His flagship began charging its planet-killer quantum torpedo, intending to destroy the human fleet through massive collateral damage, but the Threx, collective ships in the Allied formation, had been monitoring Alliance communications through their distributed intelligence networks. They identified the threat and transmitted targeting data to every human vessel simultaneously. The planet-killer torpedo never launched. Concentrated fire from 30 human ships reduced Kethver's flagship to drifting debris before the weapon could arm itself. As the battle ended and Alliance survivors transmitted surrender signals, Admiral Park found himself facing the same choice that had confronted every conqueror in galactic history. He could establish human dominance through fear and force, or try to build something better from the ashes of conflict. His response was broadcast to every ship in both fleets. This is Admiral Park of the Human Space Forces. To all Alliance survivors, you fought bravely for principles you believed in. We offer medical assistance, prisoner exchange, and eventual repatriation to your homeworlds. To our allies, this victory belongs to all free species working together. And to the galaxy, humanity does not seek to rule through conquest. We seek to build a civilization where innovation and progress serve all intelligent life. Dr. Yoonji Kim, monitoring the battle from her research vessel, made the final entry in her official log. Today we proved that human engineering can overcome any challenge when guided by human values. We built a ship that should not exist because someone told us we could not. We made war because someone declared us inferior. We won because we refused to accept limitations on what we could become. The galaxy is now free to discover what wonders await when progress serves freedom rather than fear. The age of enforced stagnation was over. The age of unlimited possibility had begun.